Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick things off with a holiday season showdown in a CVS photo lab where a frustrated customer mistook a Best Buy employee in a blue shirt for a CVS worker and demanded her prints now. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Karen screamed at me to print her photos in a store I don't even work at. A little backstory before I dive headlong into this story, since it won't really make much sense otherwise. The first real job that I held on to for many years was at a photo lab. I developed pictures from both film and digital using the ever-lovely Fuji Frontier 390. It was a workhorse and an ox. The thing could process photos faster than any printer I'd ever worked on, but it was also super expensive, which made them pretty rare to come by. After leaving the photo lab due to them having some financial struggles, I went to work at a big box store where the employees used characteristic blue shirts. Now on to the story. During the holiday season, I went into a local CVS before work to pick up a Monster Energy drink. Holiday season in the US is quite brutal and taxing for retail employees. And I was a dumb kid, so I was probably up playing video games all night and needed a powerful pick-me-up. As I'm kind of browsing through the snack foods to see if there would maybe be something I'd like to have as a quick bite to eat before my shift, I got a quick and vigorous tap on my shoulder. Plenty of force behind it, but I was barely a walking zombie from being tired. This hobbit-looking shrew puts her hands on her hips and says, "Excuse me, do you see that machine right there?" She points over to the photo lab at the CVS, and I see it, a Fuji Frontier 390. Oh, how much I love that machine. For some reason, I thought she was like a creepy white trash angel with the goal of reuniting me with this beautiful machine. I replied, "Yeah, I see it." She says back to me, "Well, do you know how to use it?" Yes, I do. I want to use it. I want to push those damn buttons. I'm halfway between a metaphorical chubby and about to pass out, and without thinking, I say, "Well, yes, I do. Great printer, honestly." The hobbit quickly turns into Gollum and snaps at me, "Well, get your effing butt back there and print my effing prints. Is this the type of service I'm paying for?" Full on 0 to 60, raging bee screaming at me because she wants her prints now. And as my cylinders were all firing properly at this time, I didn't have a witty response and just kind of questioned the situation. "Excuse me, what? I don't think I understand." She gets angrier, face turning red, spit flying from her jowls as she hollers, "What do you not effing get? I've been waiting for some lazy effing employee to get off their effing butt and print my prints. I have crap to do. Can you not hear me or something? Are you dumb? Or are you just effing stoned? This is the type of service I get here at CVS?" Finally, at least one piston caught some gas and realized she was crazy as crap, and literally oblivious to the fact that I was not wearing the employee-issued red shirts of CVS, and replied, "Yeah, I don't work here." She carries on screaming, "You don't work here? Are you effing kidding me? You're wearing the effing shirt. I'm not effing dumb." I replied, "My shirt is blue." The response was awesome. "What the F does that mean, your shirt is blue? Are you telling me that logo right there doesn't say Best Buy?" F. OMG. F. OMG. Yeah, I just rolled out. Let her ponder on her life choices at that moment. Employees asked if I was okay. It was funny. Didn't really need the monster after that. My goodness. Hope lots of people were around and stared at her to cause her embarrassment level to get over 9,000. Good grief. And our second story. Apparently, I look like someone who needed discipline, even though I wasn't one of theirs. This story happened when I was still on active duty in the U.S. Army. I was with a unit that occupied a whole set of barracks. Small 4-story buildings with about 6 rooms per floor in each building. We shared the building with other units. Our company was scattered between several buildings, but mostly concentrated in 4 of them, with me being among the odd ones out in a building that was mostly from another unit. We had 3 rooms on the ground floor. I had to stop by one afternoon to grab some paperwork from my room before taking off back to the motor pool where I was expected back ASAP. I had the misfortune to stumble into a barrack shakedown/GI party that the rest of the building was experiencing. Apparently, there was a really strict room inspection going on from another unit, as they recently just got a new first sergeant. Everyone else was outside their rooms in their Class A dress uniform at attention, and I come running up from sprinting the mile to our barracks from the motor pool, my uniform covered in dirt, sweat, and grime, my boots more black from oil and grease than the tan that they were issued. As they were my safety toe ones, I generally only wore at the motor pool. I always changed and got a quick shower before final formation. The NCO inspecting another unit on the ground floor comes in my direction, and he goes down the line of inspection, but I just ignore him as I knew he wasn't one of ours and quickly swipe my door key and run in to grab my paperwork. When I come dashing out, the first sergeant standing there waiting for me, and I slide to a halt so fast that my boots squeal and I freeze in my tracks as he stares me up and down. "Specialist me? Why are you not in your Class A's and waiting for room inspection?" I go into parade rest, trying not to drop my paperwork and say that I wasn't aware there was a room inspection as I'm not with this unit. He didn't believe me. "Who's your squad leader?" I rattle off my company and squad leader, and he starts parading my uniform, how dirty it is, and the state of my boots. I then get handed off to one of his NCOs, and he puts me in the front leaning rest push-up position and leaves me there while they talk and try to sort me out, probably looking for an NCO that wasn't even in their unit. A couple of minutes later, an NCO sheepishly comes back and asks me for my full unit designation, as I had in my rush only indicated that I was in HHC, Headquarters Company, and hadn't mentioned which battalion I was with. Turns out I wasn't even in their chain of command, something I already knew. I go running off to the motor pool, and my squad leader was looking for me, wondering what had taken me so long, as I'd been held up for quite a while. She had a good laugh when I told her about what happened, and she said this wasn't the first time something like this had gone down. And our next story. Deadweight coworker tried to blame the team, so we stopped carrying him. We had this coworker on our team. The best way to describe him is to use a Homer Simpson line. "Everyone says they have to work a lot harder when I'm around." Projects given to him usually were not completed correctly, not entirely completed, or not even worked on at all. He violated security protocols, gave out equipment to other departments, and would occasionally disappear for hours. He would always have someone else to blame for his problems, contractors, staff, and other departments. But the last straw for the rest of us was when he tried to throw his own team under the bus. We all knew he was skating by because we'd fix his mistakes to keep everything else running. And admittedly, it's hard to get fired from a state job. But after blaming us and having to hear about it, that was the last straw. So the rest of us on the team stopped helping him, and we stopped fixing his mistakes. He wasn't making obvious mistakes before. Now they were obvious. The mistakes were piling up and fast. We would collaborate with him only down to the bare minimum. He had no reason to blame us if our contributions to a project were completed and his weren't. And then came the kiss of death. He took a week off. With him not around, everything that piled up started getting completed by the rest of us. New tasks were completed on top of that and on time. Even my boss couldn't ignore the simple fact that the place ran smoother without him around. After he returned, everything started piling back up again. So we came into work a couple weeks ago, and it was announced that he had left the organization. Not one person was surprised. The thing that amazes me about the whole thing is that nobody coordinated it. None of us hatched a plan. We all just individually decided that enough was enough. You want it obvious? You got it. It's impressive how much it takes to get fired for some people. My last two jobs both featured a teammate who essentially collected a paycheck and did nothing in return. At least my manager here had the balls to do what was needed. It's also amazing that in the end, there's less work to do with him gone because tasks don't need to be done twice anymore. And our last story. Neighbor tried to steal power, water, and my yard. Now he's paying the price. When my husband and I bought our house tucked away in rural Tennessee 2 years ago, what we didn't know was that the old owner of our land, let's call him Chuck, still thought he had claim over it. Chuck sold our house over a decade ago, but still owns a small, undeveloped strip of woods behind our property. The only way to access that lot is via a narrow, shared gravel lane that cuts across the side of our home. We don't love it, but it's technically legal right-of-way, and for a long time it was no big deal. That changed about 3 months ago when Chuck decided to start building his off-grid dream cabin, and boy, did that dream turn into our nightmare real fast. First, Chuck had a power company install a pole in the middle of our backyard without permission. Just boom, up went a pole like it was his land. Turns out he straight up lied to the electric company, claiming he still owned our property. The engineer in charge actually admitted this to us in person. They never verified it, just took his word. Unbelievable. To their credit, the power company owned their screw-up and immediately scheduled the pole for removal. They also informed Chuck they wouldn't be running any power to his site until he figures out how to do it legally. We thought that would be the end of the crazy, but it was just the beginning. A few weeks after the pole incident, Chuck asked if he could use our water once to pressure test the pipes he'd buried years ago, back when he lived here. Our home sits on city water, and our bill has been steady for months, never fluctuates. We said fine once and made it clear if there was a noticeable spike in the bill, he'd be footing the difference. Well, next 2 water bills arrive, and guess what? Our usage doubled, over 20,000 gallons more than usual. Not a drop of rain during this time either, and our yard wasn't remotely soggy. When we asked Chuck about it, he acted like we were nuts, claimed we must have a leak somewhere. Real original. But here's the kicker. My husband spotted a shiny new hose hooked up to our old spigot that connects to his buried line. The surrounding dirt was wet and freshly dug up on multiple occasions. So we did what any reasonable person would do. My husband cut the old buried line and capped it. The very next day, a big water tank shows up on Chuck's property for his contractors. Yeah, leak my butt. Then things escalated. Some utility trucks showed up on our lawn, clearly inspecting something near where Chuck's guys had been tearing up the edge of our property. My husband, thinking they were there about the water, casually mentioned the suspicious usage and said we were trying to figure out if it had gone to our lines or the guy behind us. He never even named Chuck. That must have struck a nerve, because the next morning at 5 a.m., Chuck sent us a charming text accusing us of defaming his character and demanding a written apology or he'd sue. Imagine getting that kind of energy from a guy who literally tried to power his construction site off our utilities. We laughed and blocked his number. That's when we got serious. We filed a police report for water theft and property damage, gave the city water department permission to audit our meter and usage records. We also sent everything to a lawyer, copies of bills, before and after meter photos, and footage of the illegal power pole install. Chuck ended up being fined by the city for unauthorized water usage. The water department confirmed the buried line wasn't permitted, and they considered it an illegal tap. Since Chuck never disclosed any hookup request or permit, he got hit with over $3,000 in fines and back charges, plus had to pay for the water usage we'd covered. Meanwhile, the power company billed him for the botched install and labor for removing the pole, another couple grand out of pocket. To top it off, turns out he never pulled the right permits for the cabin construction, so the county issued a stop work order until he clears the mess up. We're now putting up a fence along that side of our property and have installed a water meter lock and surveillance cameras. Chuck hasn't spoken to us since. I don't think he ever can. His lawyer apparently advised him to stop contact entirely. As for the lawsuit threat, never happened. Our attorney sent him a lovely response letting him know that if he did try to sue, we'd be filing a counterclaim for utility theft and property damage. In short, Chuck's little DIY empire fell apart under its own shady foundation, and we got our backyard again, with 0 apologies sent from us. I'd have done exactly what you did. You proved that patience plus preparation can make even the most entitled neighbor think twice before messing with you again. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.